Have you ever noticed that no matter how tired you are, you still wake up at 2 or 3 a.m. to use the bathroom? Many people assume it's just getting older, or they think, I must be drinking too much water, so they start restricting fluids. And ironically, that often makes things worse. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Waking up at night to urinate, what doctors call nocturia, is rarely just a bladder problem. In many cases, it's a hormone problem, a blood sugar problem, a salt balance problem, or even a circadian rhythm problem. And when sleep is disrupted night after night, it doesn't just make you tired. It raises cortisol. It increases insulin resistance. It drives weight gain. It accelerates biological aging. Poor sleep alone can impair fat burning and increase hunger hormones the next day. So this isn't just about convenience, it's about metabolic health. Today I'm going to show you how a urologist would think about this differently. Not just drink less water, but how and when you drink it. We'll connect hydration timing to insulin, kidney physiology, antidiuretic hormone, and even your liver's role in fluid balance. And by the end of this video, you'll have a simple, science-backed hydration protocol you can apply tonight. Because the goal isn't dehydration, the goal is strategic hydration. Before we go deeper, let me give you a clear roadmap of what we're going to cover. There are 6 core physiological insights that explain why you're waking up at night and how to fix it naturally. First, the role of antidiuretic hormone, also called ADH, and why your brain may not be signaling your kidneys properly at night. Second, how late-night insulin spikes from carbohydrates or alcohol increase nighttime urine production. Third, the overlooked role of electrolytes, especially sodium, in fluid balance. It's not just about water intake, it's about water distribution. Fourth, how cortisol and stress disrupt your kidney's ability to concentrate urine overnight. Fifth, the connection between liver health, fluid retention, and nighttime urination, particularly in people with metabolic dysfunction. And sixth, the simple but powerful hydration timing protocol that urologists often recommend, but few people follow correctly. Each of these connects back to root cause physiology, hormones, metabolism, circadian biology, not just bladder mechanics. Now let's start with the first and most important driver, your nighttime hormone signaling system. Here's what's really going on inside your body when you wake up at night to go pee. Your natural fluid conserving system, driven by a hormone called antidiuretic hormone, ADH, isn't doing its job as effectively as it should. In a healthy circadian rhythm, ADH levels rise after sunset, telling your kidneys to hold on to water while you sleep. That's how your urine becomes more concentrated and less voluminous. You sleep through the night with minimal trips to the bathroom. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine your kidneys are a sponge. During the day, the sponge is relatively loose. Water flows through and you urinate normally. At night, ADH should act like a hand squeezing the sponge so only a small amount of very concentrated water drips out. But if that hormonal squeeze doesn't happen, the sponge stays loose, and you end up with a lot more urine overnight. ADH is produced in a part of the brain called the hypothalamus and released by the pituitary gland. Its job is to regulate water balance by making the kidneys' water filtering units more permeable, so water gets reabsorbed into your bloodstream instead of being lost as urine. What the research shows is that this nighttime surge of ADH is a normal part of our circadian rhythm. It's triggered when darkness comes and your body transitions into sleep mode. But in people with nocturia, that circadian hormone rhythm is often blunted or absent. Their ADH levels fail to rise at night, so urine production fails to decline. This is a key root cause. It's not simply a full bladder, it's a hormonal signaling issue that tells your kidneys how much water to retain versus excrete. So the question becomes, why isn't ADH rising properly at night? There are a few big drivers. Fluid timing, drinking large volumes right before bed, floods the bloodstream with dilute fluid, lowering your blood osmolarity. When your body senses diluted blood, it suppresses ADH release because it thinks you have plenty of fluid, telling your kidneys, go ahead and make lots of urine. Circadian disruption, irregular sleep, late-night screen light, shift work, or inconsistent bedtimes can desynchronize your internal hormone clock. When that happens, the nighttime ADH surge doesn't align with sleep, so your kidneys assume it's still daytime. Aging and metabolic dysregulation. With age and certain metabolic stressors, the amplitude of the ADH rhythm is reduced. That means even if hormone production isn't completely off, its nighttime peak, the part that matters most for nocturia, is flattened. Now here's the most important part. You can influence this physiology with timing and behavior. We aren't just explaining the problem, we're going to remodel your nightly hydration strategy using simple, evidence-based tweaks. Let's go there next. Now that you understand how ADH should work at night, let's connect the next major driver. And this one surprises many people. Late-night insulin spikes dramatically increase nighttime urination. Here's what's really going on inside your body. When you eat carbohydrates, especially refined carbs or sugar, your blood glucose rises. In response, your pancreas releases insulin. Insulin's primary job is to move glucose into cells, but insulin also affects your kidneys. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of glucose as tiny sugar particles floating in your bloodstream. Your kidneys filter your blood constantly. If blood sugar rises too high, some glucose spills into the urine. And when glucose enters urine, it pulls water with it through a process called osmotic diuresis. Water follows sugar. So if you eat dessert at 9 p.m. or drink alcohol before bed, your blood sugar may rise overnight. Your kidneys filter that excess glucose, and water is dragged out with it. The result? Larger volumes of urine while you're sleeping. What the research shows is that even mild elevations in nighttime glucose can increase urine output, especially in people with insulin resistance or prediabetes. You don't need full-blown diabetes for this mechanism to disrupt sleep. Alcohol adds another layer. It suppresses ADH release from the pituitary gland. So now you have two hits at once: reduced ADH signaling and increased osmotic fluid loss. That's why people often wake up multiple times after drinking in the evening. Here's where root cause thinking matters. If nocturia is happening because of nighttime insulin dysregulation, simply drinking less water won't solve it. You must stabilize glucose and insulin before bed. So here's the protocol. First, stop caloric intake at least 3 hours before sleep. This allows insulin levels to decline before your natural ADH surge begins. Second, avoid refined carbohydrates at dinner. Focus on protein, healthy fats, and fiber-rich vegetables. This reduces postprandial glucose spikes. Third, if you are metabolically flexible, consider a 12 to 14-hour overnight fasting window. What the research consistently shows is that time-restricted eating improves insulin sensitivity and lowers nocturnal glucose variability. Fourth, eliminate alcohol within 4 hours of bedtime. If sleep is your priority, this is non-negotiable. And here's something powerful. When insulin stabilizes, your kidneys stop dumping excess glucose. ADH can function properly. Urine volume drops naturally. Let's talk about one of the most misunderstood drivers of nighttime urination: electrolytes. Most people think hydration is about water volume. It's not. Hydration is about water balance. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Your bloodstream has a specific concentration of dissolved particles, mainly sodium, that determines how water moves in and out of tissues. This concentration is called osmolarity. When osmolarity drops too low, meaning your blood becomes overly diluted, your body interprets that as "we have excess water." The brain responds by suppressing ADH, the kidneys respond by dumping fluid. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine your bloodstream as a swimming pool. Sodium is the salt that gives that pool structure. If you keep pouring fresh water into the pool without adding salt, the concentration becomes diluted. At some point, the system has to drain water to restore balance. That drainage is your nighttime urination. What the research shows is that plasma sodium concentration is one of the strongest regulators of ADH secretion. Even small drops in blood sodium can significantly reduce ADH release, increasing urine output. This is why endurance athletes who overhydrate without electrolytes can develop frequent urination, or worse, hyponatremia. Now bring this into real life. If you drink large amounts of plain water in the late afternoon and evening, especially if you're on a low-carb diet or intermittent fasting, you may already be excreting more sodium through the kidneys. Insulin normally helps retain sodium. When insulin levels are lower, sodium excretion increases. So now you have lower insulin, increased sodium loss, and high plain water intake. The result? Diluted plasma, suppressed ADH, nighttime urination. This is especially common in people doing keto, low-carb, or extended fasting. They think they're hydrated, but they're actually undermineralized. Here's the correction protocol. Front-load your hydration earlier in the day. Aim to consume 60–70% of your total fluids before 4 p.m. Add a pinch of high-quality sea salt or an electrolyte blend to your morning water, particularly if you're low carb. Avoid chugging large volumes of plain water within 2 to 3 hours of bedtime, and monitor urine color. Pale straw is ideal. Completely clear urine all day often indicates overhydration. If this is helpful so far, consider subscribing because understanding electrolyte physiology is foundational to metabolic health. Remember, the goal is not to drink less water. The goal is to create stable osmotic balance so your kidneys can confidently reduce output at night. Now let's go deeper because stress hormones like cortisol can override everything we just discussed, even if your hydration timing is perfect. Now we need to address a hidden disruptor, cortisol. You can time your water perfectly, you can balance electrolytes, you can stabilize insulin, but if cortisol is elevated at night, your kidneys will still increase urine output. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Cortisol follows a circadian rhythm. It should be highest in the morning to wake you up, then gradually decline throughout the day, reaching its lowest point at night. That low nighttime cortisol allows melatonin and ADH to rise properly. But in modern life, many people experience a second wind at night. Mental alertness, racing thoughts, stress, scrolling under bright lights. That's often elevated evening cortisol. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of cortisol as your internal daytime signal. When cortisol rises, your body assumes it's daytime. And during the day, your kidneys produce more urine. So if cortisol is elevated at 11 p.m., your body receives a mixed signal. You're lying in bed, but hormonally, it thinks you should be awake and active. Cortisol also influences kidney filtration rate and sodium balance. Elevated cortisol increases glomerular filtration and alters mineral handling, which can increase urine production. What the research shows is that chronic stress and sleep disruption flatten normal circadian hormone rhythms. When cortisol stays elevated into the evening, nighttime ADH secretion can be impaired. This becomes a feedback loop. You wake up to urinate, sleep is fragmented, cortisol rises the next day, insulin resistance worsens, nighttime urination persists. So how do we correct this? First, protect your circadian rhythm. Dim lights after sunset. Reduce blue light exposure at least 60-90 minutes before bed. Your brain needs darkness to initiate proper hormone sequencing. Second, establish a consistent sleep time. ADH release is tightly linked to circadian timing. Irregular bedtimes disrupt that pattern. Third, avoid intense late-night exercise or heavy meals. Both elevate cortisol and sympathetic nervous system tone. Fourth, incorporate a parasympathetic downshift ritual, nasal breathing, gentle stretching, journaling, or magnesium glycinate in the evening if tolerated. Fifth, stop caffeine by early afternoon. Its half-life is long enough to influence evening cortisol in sensitive individuals. Now let's connect something deeper, and this is where root cause medicine becomes powerful. Your liver plays a central role in nighttime urination. Most people never hear that connection. Here's what's really going on inside your body. During the day, gravity pulls fluid into your lower extremities. A small amount of fluid naturally shifts into the tissues of your legs and feet. In healthy metabolism, your lymphatic system and blood proteins, especially albumin produced by the liver, help regulate that fluid distribution. But when liver function is suboptimal, often due to insulin resistance, fatty liver, or chronic inflammation, albumin production and vascular regulation can become impaired. This makes fluid more likely to pool in the tissues during the day. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your bloodstream as a series of pipes. Albumin acts like a sponge inside those pipes, helping keep fluid inside the circulation. If sponge function weakens, more water seeps into surrounding tissues. So what happens at night? When you lie down, gravity no longer pulls fluid downward. That pooled fluid returns into circulation. Your blood volume temporarily increases. Your kidneys detect the increase in circulating fluid and respond by increasing urine production. That's called nocturnal fluid redistribution. What the research shows is that people with metabolic syndrome, insulin resistance, and fatty liver disease have altered fluid handling and increased nocturnal urine production compared to metabolically healthy individuals. This is why nocturia is often an early sign of cardiometabolic stress, not just a bladder issue. So how do we correct this root cause? First, improve insulin sensitivity. That means reducing refined carbohydrates, increasing protein adequacy, and considering time-restricted eating. Second, support liver health. Prioritize whole foods, eliminate ultra-processed seed oils, reduce alcohol, and ensure adequate choline intake, found in eggs and liver, which supports fat export from the liver. Third, move your body during the day. Walking improves lymphatic return and reduces peripheral fluid pooling. Fourth, consider elevating your legs for 20-30 minutes in the late afternoon. This allows fluid to redistribute earlier, before bedtime, reducing nighttime kidney signaling. And if this insight is helping you see your body as an integrated system, not isolated organs, subscribe, because real health optimization is systems biology. Now let's bring everything together into a simple, strategic hydration timing protocol you can implement starting tonight. Now let's bring everything together into one clear, practical strategy, because information without implementation doesn't change your sleep. Here is the strategic hydration protocol, the way a metabolically minded urologist would approach this. First, front-load your fluids. Consume the majority, about 60 to 70% of your daily water intake before mid-afternoon. This aligns with your natural circadian rhythm, when cortisol is higher and your kidneys are designed to produce more urine. Think of it like filling your tank during the day so your body doesn't need to process excess fluid at night. Second, mineralize intelligently. If you are low-carb, fasting, sweating frequently, or drinking large amounts of plain water, add a small pinch of sea salt or a balanced electrolyte formula earlier in the day. This supports plasma osmolarity so ADH can rise properly at night. Remember, hydration is not just water, it's water plus electrolytes. Third, create a 3-hour pre-bed buffer. No large fluid intake within 2 to 3 hours of sleep. Small sips are fine if you're thirsty, but avoid chugging water late in the evening. At the same time, stop caloric intake at least 3 hours before bed. Stable insulin allows ADH to function correctly. Fourth, eliminate alcohol in the evening. Alcohol suppresses ADH directly. Even 1 or 2 drinks can double urine production overnight. Fifth, regulate cortisol. Dim lights after sunset protect sleep timing. Avoid late, intense workouts. Consider magnesium glycinate if tolerated. Protect your circadian rhythm like it's medicine, because it is. Sixth, improve metabolic health. Reduce refined carbohydrates, build muscle, walk daily, support liver function. The healthier your insulin signaling, the more stable your fluid balance becomes. Here's the key takeaway I want you to remember. Nocturia is rarely just about the bladder. It's about hormones. It's about insulin. It's about sodium balance. It's about circadian timing. It's about liver and vascular regulation. Fix the system, and the symptom often resolves. So here's your challenge. Tonight, implement just one change. Either front load your water, or eliminate late alcohol, or stop eating 3 hours before bed. Track what happens. Your body gives feedback quickly when you respect its physiology. If this added value, like the video and subscribe to join others optimizing their health naturally. Because better sleep is not a luxury, it's a metabolic advantage. And your body already knows how to sleep through the night. You just need to remove the interference. Let's zoom out and connect the dots. Waking up at night to urinate is not simply a hydration mistake. It's not just aging, and it's rarely just a bladder problem. It's a system signal. Your brain should release antidiuretic hormone at night, but that depends on circadian rhythm alignment. Your kidneys should concentrate urine, but that depends on stable sodium balance. Your body should conserve fluid, but that depends on low nighttime insulin and low cortisol. Your circulation should stay balanced, but that depends on liver health and metabolic resilience. When those systems are synchronized, sleep becomes uninterrupted. When they're misaligned, the kidneys compensate. And here's the empowering part. Every one of those systems responds to lifestyle. Strategic hydration timing, electrolyte awareness, stable evening blood sugar, alcohol reduction, stress regulation, metabolic repair. This is root cause thinking. You don't suppress symptoms, you optimize physiology. So here's your direct challenge. Pick one intervention tonight, just one, and observe what happens. Front load your fluids. Stop eating 3 hours before bed. Dim lights earlier. Add electrolytes earlier in the day. Track your nighttime wake-ups for 1 week. Because when sleep improves, cortisol improves. When cortisol improves, insulin improves. When insulin improves, fat burning improves. And when metabolic health improves, longevity follows. If this added value, like the video and subscribe to join others who are optimizing their health naturally. Your body is designed to sleep through the night, support the system, and it will.